Well, hello there everyone, Mystery here, and as you can see I've been having some fun with some rocket launchers. Today we are talking about blitzes. There are some really good blitzes on this class. This class has maybe 3 of the strongest when you're considering like the 3 on any given class. This might be the strongest blitz using class just because of the variety and the quality of these utilities here. So we're going to talk about each of the 3. Before I do, reminder, help me reach Warhammer 40k subs, guys. We can do it. It's been amazing growth lately, and I'm so excited to be on this journey. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this stuff. We're going to start with the Blackout grenade. The Blackout grenade is actually, funnily enough, even though it's such a simple grenade, this is the most complex of all these grenades. It has a ton of synergies, but also anti-synergies. And credit where credit is due, Cooley's guide on these grenades and on the Hive Scum in general is really, really good. I used it to look into the exact mechanics of how a lot of this stuff works, the nitty-gritty interactions with some talents. I will point out, though, if Cooley is watching, that he has some incorrect information on there about how these Blackout grenades are regenerated, but I think that might just be because it was updated like less than 2 days ago and he hasn't gotten it all typed out there yet. But really solid work on there, and you guys should go check it out if you want to know the exact fundamentals of the Hive Scum or more. So Blackout grenades are really simple. They are little flashbangs. And at a base level, they just do this. If I don't have these talents down here, they just do this. They will stagger enemies. They will throw them bodily. They will interrupt just about everything, like including crushers and stuff like that. The stagger that they hit with does build up on enemies. So like the first hit you'll do will do a minor stagger. A second hit will like, oh, well, that guy doesn't have a second state for it, but a second hit on the crusher can knock them to the ground, right? So we've got lots and lots of stagger out of these things, and it's amazing because it'll stop everything excepting bosses and mutants, I believe. Like charging mutants won't get staggered, and I think like captains with their shields or something like that. But you can stagger captains, you can knock them down. So really good grenade for controlling the battlefield, and also really good if you're obviously it's such a fast throwing weapon. You can do it like in the middle of a combo, and this is really good for melee users because you will find yourself often in a situation in this class because you have low stagger that you can't extricate yourself from a situation. You'll be getting closed in on by a bunch of stuff, and you can just simply pocket sand or just smoke bomb your way out of that situation and just get away, get a good distance, and then reset and re-engage. Now, the real big selling point of these grenades is that, of course, they do replenish on kills at close range, but this is very specific in how it works, and here's where a lot of this misunderstanding goes on, and I've been seeing tons of people thinking that this is just way more like broken in terms of recuperating these grenades than it is. So we can get kills at close range from a myriad of sources, right? All close range is within 12.5 meters. So if I had, say, a revolver here, or let's even use these dualies, because dualies are freaking cool, right? And I can shoot this enemy and kill him. You can see down there in the bottom buff bar, I just gained 1 stack, 2 stacks, and all I have to do is get 20 of those in order to get this. However, there are certain effects that don't count towards this, including damage over time effects. So for instance, if I go ahead and damage over time kill these guys, you can see there, these enemies are definitely within the range, but they're not counting. This also, of course, applies to the grenade itself. If we were to take this pocket toxin, which, by the way, amazing synergy with this grenade because it takes this grenade and turns it into a little tox bomb like this. But these enemies are going to die right next to me, but yet I am not gaining any stacks as a result. So yeah, be careful with damage over time effects on your build when you're using this, because a lot of time what it'll do is it'll basically effectively steal those stacks from you. Same thing applies to things like the dagger here. Do I actually have the bleed thing on the dagger? I do. So if I can get a bleed and not kill him instantly, there we go. So this enemy will bleed to death, but you can see the bleeding to death did not get me the kill there. So damage over time effects don't count towards that. And there is one more very tricky anti-synergy in this tree that people will stumble into, and I'm letting you know right here, right now. It is this right here, hypercritical. Hypercritical executes enemies when their current health is less than 2 times the amount of the critical strike. So an enemy like this over here, if I crit him, and like that, where normally that crit, if I got the crit, like that, normally that crit doesn't kill him instantly, right? But with this, if I do at least half of his HP with that crit, it'll execute him instantly and it will cull him. And because that execution is a talent effect and not a result of my direct damage, it is instead counted as just being erased from existence. They are not actually counting as a kill by you. It's just counting as an execution. So yeah, these sort of kills like that, if your crit would have otherwise killed them outright, so that stab right there would have killed that gunner either way, whether or not I had this talent. But that one wouldn't have. That one, he had too much health and it required the execution, so it counted as an execution, and this therefore just stole the kill and I didn't get credit for the blitz. And this is very similar if you are a dagger user to this talent right here, Haymaker. You chain heavy attacks and it builds up this insta-kill, and this insta-kill does not trigger on-kill effects such as backstab kills, crit kills, whatever it might be. It just instantly culls them from existence, and it does not count it towards your credit for getting the kill. And that is a problem for this. So oftentimes we'll have a build that is just going to town, chopping, and you will be killing lots of stuff with critical strikes. You'll be culling them, say with my little build with my tack axe here. You'll be culling these enemies, and watch my stacks down there. You see how I'm not building almost any stacks, even though I'm killing lots of enemies? That's because all of these, most of them anyway, are being stolen by this crit. So you got to be really careful with this talent equipped. Now, it's okay when you go into lighter hordes like this, because if the kill would happen already, if the crit would kill them outright, you're good. So you'll get plenty of stacks when you're going to light hordes, but it's these enemies like this that you're getting a lot of value out of that hyper critical, where it's culling a ton of them, that you're not getting that value. Okay, that's enough talking about the flashbang grenades. Just be careful with that talent, guys. Super good talent, but maybe kind of doesn't have the perfect synergy here. I could potentially see a build that specs away from crit and goes for flat melee damage, and instead gets all of its kills by directly brutalizing these enemies, and we get tons of blackout charges instead. All right, from there, we are going to go and talk about the next grenade, which is the Chem grenade. The Chem grenade is the best grenade on the class. In my opinion, this thing is very powerful, and what it does is it puts down this pool. This pool lasts for 20 seconds, and every enemy that stands within it is going to pick up stacks of tox until they are at 6 stacks. 6 stacks is the cap that this can apply to them, although they can be taken over that cap if they have a stack like that applied to them while they're in it. You can like throw a dagger, or maybe even from some effects on the class. And you can see that when they die while affected by this, they explode. That explosion staggers and deals a flat amount of damage to enemies around them, which means that this is amazing for clearing up hordes and just disrupting enemy formations. It, of course, goes underneath bulwark shields and stuff like that, so really awesome grenade. Definitely going to be the Havoc player's grenade of choice, just because it can destroy ultra dense hordes very quickly. And it has a ton of synergies with this class. So some really great synergies that we have down here are things like Toxin Mania, which obviously is going to buff that base damage while there's plenty of enemies coated by it. Toxic Renewal, if you finish up these enemies with melee hits while they're in there. Most notably of all, Sample Collector. Sample Collector replenishes your stim after it's off cooldown. So right now I'm on the stim, so you can't replenish any cooldown. I'll make a video about stims very shortly here. But watch this. We can actually put some juice in our stim here. Let's make it rending. And notably, one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is that stims do affect your grenade damages. So these grenades will now have rending and have extra damage while that stim is under the on effect, which is very nice. And when that stim runs out in a few seconds here, a Chem grenade will replenish your stim cooldown incredibly quickly. You can see it going up like that. So this is an amazing grenade for utilizing with that talent and getting all of your stim cooldown back super fast. Alright, so that's everything there. One notable synergy that this grenade does not have is with this right here, Pocket Toxin. They remove this from the synergy list. This used to make it so that the minor explosions that would happen when these enemies died while under effect would spread the toxin, and that was just completely OP. So they removed that, thankfully, and now it's just regular OP. The only other stuff that you should be aware of here is that, of course, just general damage buffs to the class do affect this. So if you've got yourself a weapon with Slaughterer on the main hand where you can get extra strength, or you've got like Blaze Away or something on your gun over here, stacking that sort of extra strength or extra base damage buffs on your character will increase the damages of all those dots that the enemies have out there in the field. So you can buff up that stuff while it's already toxing enemies away. All right, cool. I think that's everything for the Chem Grenade. Oh, there's one more thing about the Chem Grenade, and I think this is more important for the Chem and the last Blitz we'll talk about here. It's extra pouches. This is an absolute phenomenal grenade or Blitz perk, which gives you 1 extra Blitz charge. So it just makes it so the cap for your grenades, it takes Blackout from 5 to 6. It takes Chem Grenades from 3 to 4, which is a 33% increase. Definitely worth it for this grenade. And it takes Rocket Launcher from 2 to 3, which we, of course, have to talk about now. So Rocket Launcher here, aka Boombringer, is a RPG. It is just this, right? And it's really, really good. Now, this grenade has a couple of different things going for it, and it is a little bit technical on 2 things. This grenade, because it is a direct impact projectile, does indeed get benefit from ranged damage. So talents like Gang Tough here, what do we have? In Your Face here, and Vulture's Mark, if you have these stacked up, I can't showcase it here because I'm in the Psychanium and I don't have the ability to spawn bosses, but when this goes live, I can showcase it to you. But when you have all those buffs stacked up, you will do more damage with the direct impact of the rocket. It does not, however, buff the nearby impact of the rocket. So like shooting here, it is not buffed by any of that stuff. The explosion around it is buffed by things like your stims, though. Any general damage increases like strength, it'll be buffed by things like punching above one's weight, which will give you extra damage against leads and monstrosities, and it'll be buffed by things like cheap shots, if that enemy is already staggered. So general damage increases will buff the AoE and the direct hit, and ranged weapon damage increases will buff that direct hit only. So really, really good. Multiple ways you can stack the damage there, and it makes it absolutely slap enemies very, very hard. As far as synergies in the tree, we have, of course, the extra grenade, which you should definitely be taking if you're taking Rocket Launcher. Any range damage will be good for this. And then we have Pocket Toxin, which I don't really see a reason why you would take Pocket Toxin when it's just 3 extra stacks of Chem after you just did like a 15,000 damage rocket to someone's face. But that's neither here nor there. The one thing I want to showcase about this, and I guess I'll wrap it up after this weapon has a very funny interaction that I discovered while I was testing, and I think you might enjoy this. Watch this. So if I shoot this enemy, and these enemies are behind me, there's Backblast. They actually coded in Backblast for this rocket launcher, and it throws the enemies behind you away and burns them, which is such a cool little addition. I thought that was so cool when I discovered it. But there's something about it that it might be a little bit odd, and that's that the way that the Backblast is coded, it isn't quite timed appropriately to when it happens, and it's also not locationally coded properly. So this enemy's in front of me, and what happens with Backblast is it grabs every enemy in a radius around you, and it throws them backwards from the direction your camera's going. So if I shoot this guy, he gets thrown backwards from standing in front of me, which makes no sense. Or alternatively, if I just aim my rocket up at the sky and these guys are right here and they're standing in front of me, I can throw them behind me by just firing up at the sky, which is funny. And as you notice, like the actual throwing of it happens before the rocket fires. It's like it starts this gravitational well and yanks everyone backwards. And I thought that was kind of comedic when I first noticed that. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, throw me a subscription, throw me a like down there. I'll see you real soon for the next one, where we are going to be talking about some of the abilities on the class. And yeah, have a good one. Bye-bye.